Good morning, friends. Very few response. Already fatigued? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
That's better. When I got a mail from your institution saying that you need to speak to our audience on the subject ethical practices in business, Indian perspective, I was a little taken aback. I said, ethics is ethics, whether it is in India or Europe. How can there be an Indian perspective? But then, a little bit of introspection, I realized it's very right. Why Indian perspective? Within India, what could be perceived as unethical in South could jolly well be passed off as perfectly normal in North. I'm not casting any aspersions. What is ethical in Bangalore need not be ethical in Bihar, or what is ethical in Bihar need not be ethical in Bangalore. You all remember Lalu Prasad Yadav's son's wedding. They walked into all the car showrooms and took away all the cars, used it for a month and put the cars back. That's all. And when the Tatas went and complained to him, he said, "Bache log hai, it's all right, they all do this." Now, it could also vary from country to country. Yesterday on your TV, you saw the visual. In Hungary, the refugees are pouring in, and a TV news reader, not a TV news reader, TV camera person, a lady, she makes some of them fall by giving her leg. She makes them trip. I was wondering what kind of ethics this is. Now, ethics can vary from religion to religion also. What is perfectly normal for somebody to kill somebody may not be normal for somebody. I was a little surprised, Father, you should not take me amiss, when Pope was baptizing some people, some refugees who had come into the Vatican seeking refuge. Is it ethical? I don't know. I'm just asking you all this. Ethics can vary gender to gender also. What is ethical for men need not be ethical for women. Ethics can vary according to period. 10 years ago, if somebody came and said, I am in a live-in relationship with somebody, people would have frowned upon it, isn't it? But today, the Supreme Court says it is a perfectly legitimate relationship. Ethics can vary according to age. I believe there was a residential school where small children were there, and all the children had congregated there for dinner, and there was a long dining table. On one end of the dining table, there was a basket of apples, and the warden had put a note on that basket: take only one apple, God is watching you. On the other end of the table, there was a basket of chocolates. One mischievous student had put a note on the basket of chocolates: take as many as you want, God's eyes are on the apples. I don't know, is this ethical? Ethics can vary from the learned to the illiterate, or the literate to the illiterate, the rich to the poor. We have a very strong case of Mr. Rajat Gupta, the former CEO of Goldman Sachs, exchanging some insider information with Rajaratnam, and I don't know, the poor man is had a raw deal in the United States. Then ethics can vary from the smart to the dull. I came across an instance where somebody ordered a jacket on Flipkart got the jacket, made use of it for the party that evening, made use of it a couple of more times, and then returned it because it had a warranty that it can be returned in 30 days. How do you like it? Is it ethical to do this? And now in Bangalore, we have a case of a gentleman called Gokul and Jose. To what extent he has gone, it's going to make a great thriller. Somebody, I'm sure, is already eyeing that story for a movie. There was a very interesting news item in the business line some time back, I think 2 days precise, to be precise. The World Economic Forum had rated India at the bottom in most parameters. And especially in parameters like inclusive growth, which means not all of us, all communities, all people are included in the success of the country. But surprisingly, they have rated India at 12, number 12, in business ethics and political ethics. I was surprised. Now, whether ethics is absolute or relative, this is the question. If some refugees who are entering Greece are refused entry, according to those refugees, it could be unethical. But then, Greece is by itself not in a position to accept any more mouths to feed because their economy is in shambles. So if they accept, it will be unethical according to their countrymen. Now, does ethics mean compliance? Compliance means following the rules, following the regulations. I don't know. I believe a leadership camp was going on and participants were registering and the participants were being allotted rooms because it was a residential leadership camp. One boy was allotted a room, room number 24. Within few minutes, he came back to the gentleman who was allotting the rooms and told the gentleman, "Sir, I have a problem." The man immediately pointed out towards a plaque, a message which was there. The message said, "There are no problems, only opportunities." There are no problems, only opportunities. The man pointed to the plaque there and said, "Look, read that. There are no problems, only opportunities." "No, sir, but I have a different problem." I said, I'm telling you there are no problems, only opportunities." "No, sir, I have a different problem." "Anyway, tell me what is your problem." "Sir, you have allotted room number 24 for me. And when I went to room number 24, there is one young girl already staying there. Now you please tell me whether it is a problem or an opportunity." Now, if we had simply, strictly complied with what this man had said, it would have been unethical also, isn't it? I was running an industry manufacturing storage batteries, industrial storage batteries. One fine day, a team of people from the pollution control department came in. They brought a lot of equipments, all some German equipment. They said this is the most sophisticated equipment which can measure arsenic in the atmosphere, lead fumes in the atmosphere. They measured and then said, "Look, the arsenic levels in the air near your factory is much above the permissible levels." Now, I am a guy from chemistry. So I told him, "Sir, just 50 feet away is the highway. Can you please go and measure it there?" He said, "Yes." The man went and kept the instrument, started measuring arsenic. The arsenic levels were much more there than what it was in our factory. It was simple common sense. The amount of lead which is being spewed by all the vehicles which are passing, naturally the arsenic levels had gone up. I was able to get rid of these people, but my conscience was killing me. What I did may have been smart, but what I did was not ethical. question in my mind always, maybe you will be able to answer this. A gentleman goes into Australia after his engineering or whatever, settles down there, works very hard, and after about 25 years of stay there, he gets the citizenship and this, and he has prospered, he has purchased his house, he has got a few cars, everything is there. He's doing extremely well by all parameters. There is a cricket match happening between India and Australia. Now this man goes to the stadium with a big Indian national flag and starts cheering the Indian cricket team, starts waving and totally exhibits his patriotism, elegance, whatnot. I don't know, I always used to wonder, he might be an Indian, but he should be more affiliated to the country which has provided him the food. This is a question which has been bothering me, and maybe you'll be able to give an answer. We all know when we hear the siren of an ambulance, we immediately pull to the left. So I asked one student of mine, what do you do? He said, I immediately pull to the left, and the moment the ambulance passes, I immediately follow the ambulance so that I can find my way very easily. You all must have seen the Surf Excel advertisement. Somebody, a white shirt slips off from the clothesline on the 4th floor and lands on the ground. During that journey, it falls in different places and accumulates a lot of dirt and grime and grease and whatnot. A charming young housewife comes and picks up the shirt, dips it in a bucket of Surf Excel, and the shirt is sparkling white. Does it really happen? That is why I always used to say, advertising is making whole lies out of half-truths. Is this ethical? Naked truth or a best-dressed lie? Which is better? Naked truth or a best-dressed lie? Right now, what is happening in Bangalore today? The BBMP, at the BBMP, Bruvat Bangalore Maharani Palike, a marriage of convenience between JDU and Congress is taking place. They don't have the mandate to do that. That's why sometimes it is said, policies are many, principles are few. Policies may change, but principles never do. So this is another very important thing we should think of while talking about ethics. That brings me to the question, is profiteering unethical? Making money unethical? Is profit a dirty word? Please remember, profit is a legitimate objective of any business. But again, you need to know where to draw the line. That is why I many times think, is what is not legal, not moral? What is not legal, not moral? Or what is not moral, not legal? Are you able to get me? Setting your own standards. That's what I'm talking about. Is exploiting someone's weakness for strategic reasons, is it ethical? For instance, a lawyer could exploit your ignorance and make a lot of money. Can even indulge in emotional blackmail. Is demanding more than you deserve ethical or unethical? I don't know. We need to think about it. Is delaying unethical? They say delay is the deadliest form of denial. So, is delay unethical? Is not being transparent ethical? When you go to a doctor, you expect the doctor to be transparent with you and tell you everything, tell you the risk-benefit ratio. If you do this, this is the risk and this is the benefit. Does he do that? conclude, I would like to just give a few small points about what I think should be considered by you, to be considered by the society as ethical. Because you have to be personally ethical, you have to be socially ethical, and you have to be professionally ethical. Please remember, there is something called predictable behavior. You need to be, there is one ability which everybody expects from everybody in this world. The parents expect from the children expect from the parents, the husband expects from the wife, and the wife expects from the husband, the employer expects from the employee, and the employee expects from the employer. The supplier, the customer expects from the supplier, and the supplier expects from the customer. And that ability is dependability. If you want to be an ethical person, think about this. I should be a dependable person. The second thing is accuracy. Whatever we do, we need to do it right the first time and do it properly. So this also is a very important ingredient to become an ethical person. The third thing is you need to be responsive. You need to respond. And especially in business, you should be able to respond to your consumer, to your customer. The fourth is consistency. You cannot be a peaks and valleys person. You need to be consistent in all these things if you want to be ethical. The fifth is transparency. If you are somebody who is transparent, to a great extent you are closer to ethics. I had a mathematics teacher once when he administered the question paper for a test. He looked at all of us and said, "Boys, today I am giving you two tests. One test in trigonometry and the other test in honesty. There are many great people who have failed in trigonometry, but there are no great people who have failed in honesty." These words still ring in my mind. In London City.
Good morning, everybody. I wish to thank the organizers for the opportunity given to me. After listening to the speakers for 1.5 days, certainly many of you would think that it is impossible to live ethically. Am I right? Very difficult, or rather impossible. But we have a great person to emulate in our life, that is Abdul Kalam, who lived ethically and yet gloriously. And that is the best example we can think of. I am privileged to be the principal of college where Abdul Kalam studied. And at the time when Abdul Kalam died, I happened to be the principal, and I can assure you that never in any of the colleges you can think of such a wonderful behavior of the students on the day of Kalam's death. The previous day night, around 8:30, we got information that he passed away, but it is not official. But only around 9:30 or 10, the official news came. And as administrators, we sat together and wanted to plan how to do something to remember Kalam. But by the time the press people came, we were giving interviews till 11 o'clock. So we had no time to arrange for the next day's program. So we simply said that we will conduct a silent protest march, silent march from the hostel where he stayed up to the administrative block. But in the meantime, the press said that the government has declared a holiday. So we thought that students will not turn up. But to our surprise, all the 6,000 students turned up. It was a remarkable thing. And we conducted the silent march from our college up to Main God Gate, which is one of the monumental places in Trichy, and back to our college. And he simply said, we go 2 by 2 in silence. That is the only instruction I gave. And there were no professors to guide them, no arrangement, nothing. It was such a wonderful behavior of the students, and I could see that they were really deeply mourning. Why I say this is, after 2 weeks, one of our professors, fathers passed away, who was the former principal. For that, we wanted to conduct a condolence meeting. But at that time, there was such a lot of talk among the students. People were talking among themselves, some were going out, some were going to the canteen, and even the staff were there. They did not listen to the staff because they did not feel one with the principal who died, but they felt one with Kalam, who is an icon for all the youth of India. And he lived morally, he lived ethically amidst politicians who are known for their ethics. That is the greatness of the man. Yes, my friends, it is the upbringing and training we get that makes us good or bad, ethical or unethical. When we take a manager in an industry, he plays 3 roles, one at the same time, and his ethical managerial behavior is governed by all these 3 forces. First and foremost, he is a person, a human being. He is influenced by his family, religious beliefs, and personal standards and needs which are fashioned when he is in his school or college. Secondly, he is influenced by the employing organization. For example, the policies and codes of conduct of the organization, behavior of his superiors, and the organization culture. For example, Tata has certain values which Reliance does not have. Thirdly, he is influenced by the external environment like the government regulations, norms and values of the society he lives in, and the ethical climate of the industry. I am really indebted to the former speakers. They gave elaborate examples. Is there anyone who is having a driving license in India who did not pay any bribe? Very strange. If you go to an RTO office, that means you have to pay bribe. If you want to register your land to the revenue officials, you have to bribe. That is our culture or our ethics. Thus, there is an interplay of all these 3 factors in the ethical behavior of a person in the industry. But the first 2 factors, that is the personal life and the industry, or to put it differently, institution that shapes an individual and the industry that employs him have a great deal of intertwining. They can enrich each other. Academia and industry are like theory and practice. Both should go hand in hand. What we learn in the educational institutions is put into practice in the industry, but the success depends upon the individual. Academic institutions focus on teaching, learning, and evaluation. What a person learns creates and forms value in him. Thus, educational institutions make a person able, capable, and employable. That is why we say knowledge is power. Whereas an industry concentrates on output, result, and profit, this becomes the yardstick to measure the efficiency of an individual. But some industries talk only of profit. Thus, an individual sees a dichotomous situation. The best thing he used, the first speaker, there is a dilemma. What he learned is not put into practice, and what he values is not given due importance in the industry. Thus, there is a need for mutual learning from institutions as well as the industries. Industries should come forward to learn from the institutes the values. Then they will learn to be socially responsible. CSR should not be a department in the company, but rather a social responsibility should be permeating the entire industry. In return, institutions should come forward to receive industry in the curriculum development and faculty development programs. It is a bounden duty of the industry to make the institute more relevant and contextualized. This will make the students more employable. Industry should bring in more projects to the institutions to make students understand the reality of the industry. This will also cut down the cost of the industry in its efforts to recruit skilled workforce. At present, the industry recruits students after their degree and spends a lot of money on their training in the name of apprenticeship to make them employable. But if the industries come forward to offer projects and internship to the students when they are in the college, the industry can minimize this expense of training and placement to a great extent. They can get a ready-made employee with ethical standards. IBM has Smart Planet strategy. Though this IBM draws ideas through this, IBM draws ideas from everybody and makes these ideas suitable and sustainable. Thus, industry should interact with institutions and students and implement the ideas from the students because students are highly creative. This nobody can deny. For example, when I was in Loyola, we used to have cultural programs. And for that cultural programs, whenever we invite the film stars, they come by all means. They don't want to miss it. And when they speak, they say, we want to come to institutions like this because the students are highly creative and we get a lot of themes from these cultural events for our future projects. So students are highly creative, which the institutions can offer to the companies where they can make use of. Thus, there should be mutual enrichment on the part of industry as well as institution without mutual blaming. But let us analyze what really happens in the institute and industry. Let me take the institute first. Before I proceed, I just want to inform you that I am projecting only the negative points. So don't think that that is the general picture. Just to give an example, I am giving, but let us not be pessimistic. We all know that the destiny of the nation is shaped within the four walls of the classroom because it is the values that the children are given at this age keeps them going all through their life as ethical persons. When we take the institute, there are four main areas of concern and importance. They are teaching, learning, evaluation, and research. Some educational institutions give importance only to academics and nothing else, just as some businesses say that the business of business is business. In the words of C.S. Lewis, education without values seems rather to make a man more clever devil. These institutions produce only intellectual monsters which are only job-ready graduates and market-ready laborers and not society-ready citizens. Our education should not only develop the intellect of the students but create values in them, build character in them, develop social consciousness in them, and impart entrepreneurial skills in them. As Einstein says, it is essential that the student acquire an understanding of and lively feeling for values. He or she must acquire a vivid sense of the beautiful and of the morally good. Otherwise, he or she, with his or her specialized knowledge, more closely resembles a well-trained dog than a harmoniously developed person. The problems we have in educational institutions. For example, admissions are given for monetary benefit. Management seats in self-financed institutions are sold. Management is not plowing back the surplus into the development of the institution. And in some institutions, no qualified and quality teachers are appointed. And poor infrastructural facilities could be seen, especially in government colleges. And unfilled teaching posts are there in so many aided colleges, which is due to the government apathy. What is the attitude of the majority of the students today? In a recent Wall Street Journal, the psychologist says that cheating by high school students has increased from about 20% in 1940s to 75% today. Students say cheating in high school is for grades and cheating in colleges is for a career. Theodore Roosevelt says to educate a person in mind and not in morals is to educate a menace to the society. When we have lack of ethics at school or college, it leads or develops greed and jealous in the individual. When the individual becomes greedy and jealousy, then he looks for a bad career where he could make quick money. When he ends up in such a job, then his whole life becomes a disastrous life. Technology enhanced plagiarism and other forms of academic dishonesty could be seen in institutions. A recent study indicated that 80% of students who planned to attend college had cheated in high school. Most said they had never been caught, and more than half did not consider cheating a serious transgression. About teachers. When Abdul Kalam was interviewed, he was asked, Dr. Kalam, you are a scientist, statesman, teacher, writer, so on and so forth. Which of these you like most? For that, Kalam replied, I love to be a teacher. Yes, teaching profession is a noble profession, but of late, some teachers make it a job lacking commitment, care, love, and concern. Some of the teachers are more worried about tuition and making money than paying attention to the formation of the students. Teachers don't prove to be role models to the youngsters today. Some teachers are vindictive and victimizing students in the name of internal marks. Some teachers are partial, unjust, and autocratic. Some depend upon their old brittle notes and they can never change their subject. They can teach only that subject with which they started their career. They enjoy all types of leaves possible, never bother to complete the syllabus. In some self-financed institutions, teachers are not paid well. They pay peanuts. If you give peanuts, you will get only monkeys, not horses. In Tamil Nadu, the price of a vice chancellor's post ranges from 5C to 10C, and an assistant professor's post is sold for 7L to 10L. I suppose you know. They often forget when a doctor makes a mistake, it takes you to the depth of 8 feet only. You will be buried. When a lawyer makes a mistake, it takes you to the height of 6 feet only. You will be hanged. But when a teacher makes a mistake, he wipes out an entire generation. When we look at research, it is another deplorable area. Just this week, the Vice Chancellor of Pondicherry University, Pondicherry Central University, was suspended. One of the international journals removed her article from its journal for plagiarism. She is the first VC to be punished in the history of higher education in India for plagiarism. There are agencies who sell PhD theses for a price, and there are universities who sell PhD degrees for a price. There are research guides who look for gratification from the research scholars. If they are men, they expect cash and gifts from them. And if they are women, they expect something else. Otherwise, they do not allow them to complete their PhD. If this is the ethics that is followed in research, what quality can we expect and what wealth of knowledge are they going to contribute to the society? The UGC decries the quality of research because most of them are cut and paste. They want to introduce a qualifying exam like SET and NET for research. The staff who do research are given a special scheme called Faculty Development Program, FDP. But some of them use those 2 years of leave with pay to construct houses and some do other household works. To move to the industry, I don't want to elaborate. We have bribes and kickbacks, political contributions, honesty of books and records, customer and supplier relationships, confidentiality of corporate information, child labor, long working hours, especially in BPOs, unhygienic working conditions, sexual harassment in workplaces, etc. Here again, we have industries which are scarcely worried about ethics and industries which are concerned about ethics and corporate social responsibility. You have the diagram here where it ranges from the best to the least. We must bear in mind what Gandhiji said. There are 7 things that will destroy us: wealth without work, pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character, religion without sacrifice, politics without principles, science without humanity, business without ethics. In this 21st century, India has grown leaps and bounds economically and technologically, but has regressed so badly ethically. Everywhere there is erosion of ethical values. We need to rebuild the individual. We need to rebuild the family. We need to rebuild the society and the corporate world in the ethical lines. And that is why in Tamil we have Tirukkural, which was developed by Thiruvalluvar. In that he has divided into 3 parts: Aram, Porul, Inbam. The first one is virtue, the second one is wealth, and the third one is pleasure. First, an individual should look for virtues and values. Then only he should look for wealth, and which will make his life pleasurable. So we have the bounden duty to be ethical, which is the dream of Kalam. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
So how are you doing? Firstly, I would like to thank the college and its management for inviting me here and being part of the English panel. And when a mail was sent to me, I was just wondering what to talk about the ethical business practices. Then I thought maybe I'll give you some perspective about the insurance sector and the unethical practices which happens in insurance. I know it's quite a boring subject, but I will try my best to connect to you, and I might ask questions also after explaining the slide, and I can randomly pick anyone also for answer. So please pay attention. There will be a brownie point for answer, and wrong answer I'm going to explain the slide again to you. So if you want me to finish fast, so please pay attention. So the topic selected is insurance and unethical practices. See, I'm talking about the unethical practices because if you eradicate the unethical practices from the corporate side, then only we can can arrive at an ethical organization. So I have got a presentation, PowerPoint presentation, since in corporate world, even if you have to share that what you had for lunch, you have to make a PPT. Then I had this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you have to explain it. So by way of a PowerPoint, I'm going to explain the best ethical practices which can happen in the corporate world, because sooner or later you are going to join a corporate world. Most of you, not every one of you, but most of you would like to join a corporate world. So what are the practices which happens, the unethical practices in a corporate world, especially in the insurance sector? And for that, I will explain you the basic concept of insurance so that you can connect to it and you can understand it better. See, the content of the presentation is the introduction to the insurance concept, history of insurance as to how the insurance has evolved, IRDAI, it's the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. This is basically a body which regulates the insurance business and ensures that whatever happens in an ethical manner in an insurance sector. Then are the principles of life insurance and unethical business practices in the insurance sector. Now, what is an insurance? What do you think is an insurance? If somebody says that I have got a policy, what do you think the person means? Anyone? See, I'll just explain you the concept of insurance. That insurance is basically one person undertakes the risk of another person for a consideration. It's a very technical definition. In simple words, is that you take a policy in name of XYZ, I being the insurance company. If XYZ dies, I will pay you the insurance amount, and the insurance amount which I'll pay back to you is called as sum assured. For that, you will pay me an amount at a frequency, maybe monthly, quarterly, or yearly, which is called as a premium. So you pay me a premium over a period of time, and if XYZ, who is a life assured, dies, I will pay back the amount to you. So there are three parties: proposer, the life assured, and the insurance company. So this concept of taking a risk of another person if the person dies is basically the concept of insurance. So how does this take place? What do you have to do to buy a policy? Basically, you have to fill a proposal form wherein you will have a lot of questions regarding the life assured and the proposer. You have to answer them correctly. You cannot hide anything. For example, if the question is that whether the life assured was having any disease, if the life assured was having any diabetes or hypertension, you cannot hide this from the insurance company. You have to disclose it accurately and correctly in the proposal form. And if you do not do that, the company will decline your claim, will not pay you the insurance amount. Once you fill the proposal form, the company receives it, process it. The process is called underwriting of the policy. Basically, this is done on the declaration which you make in the proposal form, and then issue you the policy. Once you receive the policy, then you have to go through the policy. For example, what was explained to you should be there in the policy document. And if it is not, then you have a 15 days period to return the policy back to the company and take away your the premium paid to the company. So, clear till now? So how does this happen? I'm going to ask questions also, huh? So this basically happens by filling a document by you and I sending you the policy to you. So after this, once you have gone through the policy document, if you are satisfied, then the policy continues, and at the end of the policy, or between the policy, if the life assured dies, then I will pay you some amount which is known as a sum assured. So now all the insurance contract you see has to be a legal contract, in the sense that there are certain essential elements of legal contract which has been defined by law, which should also exist in an insurance contract. First is an offer and acceptance. Your filling of the proposal form is an offer, and I issuing the policy to you is an acceptance. So as per law, offer plus acceptance is equal to legally binding contract. Second is the consideration. See, in all legal contract, you need to have a consideration. That is the price which you pay under the contract to enter into the engagement. In an insurance, the consideration is the premium which you pay to me. Third is the legally competent parties. Both the parties have to be legally competent, in the sense both the parties have to be major, they can't be minor, and they should be of sound mind. They cannot be insane to enter into the contract. Then is the legal purpose. The insurance contract has to be for a legal purpose. For example, one cannot take a policy in name of any person, kill the person, murder that person, and go away with the insurance amount. because the purpose of taking this particular policy is illegal, hence the whole contract is illegal. So, next slide please. So hope you are clear with the concept of insurance, the basic concept of insurance. How does it take place? Okay, thank you. Now we come to the history of insurance, how insurance has evolved. If we see that insurance has a deep rooted history in ancient times, first insurance company which was established in India was in 1818, which was Oriental Life Insurance Company, which was in Kolkata. If you see, before independence, there were a lot of foreign insurance companies which were operating, and they were covering only the British lives and not Indian lives. So later on, only after independence, in 1956, LIC was formed. I'm sure everyone is aware of LIC. It's a very big brand in the insurance sector. So in 1956, the whole insurance business was nationalized and LIC was formed. Later, private insurance companies were also allowed to operate, and then was constituted IRDAI, that is the regulatory body for the insurance business. And then the Indian government also allowed the foreign companies to come in and have some stake in the Indian company. Now coming to IRDAI, so this is the main body. How you have RBI for the banks and SEBI for the markets, you have IRDAI for the insurance sector. This basically ensures that whatever business is run by the insurance company is in an ethical and compliant manner. The subject itself is called as a compliance. You have various regulations and you have to adhere to it. And if you do not adhere to it, the authority has all the right to impose penalty on you. See, this is a autonomous apex body which is formed by the Act of Parliament called IRDAI Act 1999. Currently, the headquarters of IRDAI is at Hyderabad. It's a 10-member body which consists of a chairperson, 5 whole-time members, 4 part-time members. All these members are required to have knowledge of life insurance, general insurance, actuary science, finance, economics, law, accountancy, administration, or similar subject. And all the members are appointed by the government of India. Now there are 2 major principles of life insurance which act as a pillar of life insurance, which basically has been laid down to eradicate any kind of unethical practices in insurance parlance. First is the principle of utmost good faith, and second is the principle of insurable interest. We'll deal in the next slide. See, what is the principle of utmost good faith? This is basically a positive duty to voluntarily disclose fully all material facts. And what is material fact? It's any fact which influences the judgment of a prudent insurer in determining the risk under the policy. I know it's very technical. In simple terms, you have to disclose me everything under the proposal form. If the question is pertaining to the age of the life assured, then you have to tell me the exact age. You cannot forge documents, you cannot manipulate documents, you cannot create documents to get an insurance cover. It has to be correct age of the life assured. If the question is regarding the health of the life assured, for example, whether life assured has undergone any surgery or not, the question has to be answered accurately. Yes or not, which kind of surgery. If there is any misrepresentation or non-disclosure, the company will decline the claim and will not pay the insurance amount later on. So hence, the basis of the contract should be a clear, transparent disclosure to the insurance company. This principle is called principle of utmost good faith. The second is the principle of insurable interest. This is defined as a legal interest in another person's life. I just gave you an example that one person cannot take insurance in life of another person, murder, and then go away with the insurance money. To eradicate such kind of unethical practices, the principle of insurable interest has been laid down. For example, you can take a policy in name of any other person only when the person is related to you. You cannot take policy in name of her. There has to be some relation between both the parties. For example, a husband can take a policy in name of the wife, and vice versa, because they have some interest between them, they have some relation between them. So how this is created? This is created either by the family ties. Anybody in the family can take a policy in the name of another person. Then by the ownership, an employer has an insurable interest in the life of the employee. Hence the employer can also take a policy in name of the employee. Then is the contract. A bank has an insurable interest in the life of the debtor, because if the debtor will die, who will pay the loan? So this principle of having a relation with another for taking an insurance policy is known as principle of insurable interest. This is basically to avoid any kind of misuse of insurance business. Now we come to the main topic, that is unethical business practices in insurance sector. See, these are the four major business practices, unethical business practices which happens in the insurance sector. First is the mis-selling, then is the non-disclosure of material fact, cash defalcation and spurious call. We'll just deal with each one of them in the subsequent slide. First is the mis-selling. See, mis-selling, how it happens. An agent will come to you and will say that this policy is very suitable to you. Even if it's not suitable to you, he'll come and he'll say, no, you will have 100% return, it will guarantee you 100% profit, and then at the end of the policy, you will get X, Y, Z number of amount. You become very happy and invest in the insurance policy. Later, you come to know that, the policy is not having any such kind of feature. It's a normal policy and there's no 100% guarantee, because no financial instrument can guarantee you 100% return. So then you come to know that whatever was stated to you was incorrect. So what is this? This is a mis-selling. So the agent is miscommunicating the content or the feature of the policy to you. So how does it take place? It's basically done by the agent and brokers, who are very much interested in getting their commission and completing their sales target. So for doing that, what they do, they understand your need first, and they sell you X product saying that this is a Y product. And you buy it, and then you are not happy with the product. So whenever a company receives any mis-selling complaint, what do? We generally evaluate all the merit of the matter. We see that whether the customer is genuine or not. If the customer is genuine and coming after the 15 days period, then also we return the money back to the customer and cancel the policy. Second unethical business practice is non-disclosure of material fact. This I have already explained to you. You have to disclose me everything under the contract. It has to be a transparent relationship between you and the insurance company. And if there is any kind of non-disclosure, then the company has all the right to decline your claim and will not pay you the insurance amount. So, what is the time period of the duty? When you fill a proposal form, the company takes 1 to 2 months to underwrite the policy, to evaluate what you have declared and investigate the matter and issue you the policy after 1 or 2 months. So the duty continues even after the filling of the proposal form till the policy is issued to you. So even after the filling the form, if you have undergone any surgery or any kind of medical illness, so you have to disclose that also to the insurance company to get the insurance amount. Now, what are the types of non-disclosure? First is a medical non-disclosure. You have not stated correctly what is the health status of the life assured. He was a HIV patient, or he was having TB. Maybe he must have been cured, but you have not disclosed this to the insurance company. The insurance company will not pay you the insurance amount if on the investigation it is found that the answer given by you was incorrect. Second is the age understatement. See, every insurance policy has a maximum age, that is maximum age group to which it can be offered. For example, the life assured was 69 years of age and the maximum age at entry is 65. So what was disclosed in the proposal form was 64 by manipulating documents, forging documents. So what will the company do? Company will again repudiate the claim if on investigation it is found that life assured is beyond the maximum age, that is 69 years. Then is the occupation, income and other insurance policy. This is basically for the purpose of financial underwriting, whether you are in a position to pay the premium or not. For example, your annual income is 2.5 lakh per annum, and then you take a policy wherein you have to pay 2 lakh per annum, which is not possible because your annual income itself is 2.5 lakhs. So this is basically financial underwriting, that whether you are in a capacity to pay that premium under the policy or not. Then is the cash defalcation. See, this is a very, very serious scenario because in this, the amount of the customer or the premium which is paid by the customer is misappropriated by either the employee, agent or brokers. This happens mainly in the following scenarios. First is issuing fake receipts. Agent collects the money from the customer and issue a fake receipt to the customer, and then the customer thinks that my premium has been applied towards the policy, but he runs away with the money. So this is called as cash defalcation, where a fake receipt or the company's letterhead was also used by the agent. Second is the non-issuance of receipt. Second case, the agent collects.
I'd just like to quickly thank all the speakers for having given us their valuable time, even though we did have to say, please can we stop, because A couple of our speakers have a rather rush schedule today. We'd like to quickly open up the topics for brief discussion. I'm going to let all of you get started. Shall we just take a couple of questions at least from the audience? Okay. Yes, please, sir. You can.
Chairman Dean, James B. School, sir. Sir, during your speech, you cited many examples. So you mean to say ethics is subjective and context-driven? This is my first question, sir. Ethics is subjective and context-driven. Second question is, can't we have then a framework of ethics?
If you remember, so as you said, to a great extent it is context driven because depending on the, as I quoted, no, it could be region wise, it could be religion wise, it could be age, time, okay? But then, if personal values are taken into consideration, and if people have certain personal values and they say, okay, this is where I draw the line, I don't go beyond this. To a great extent, I think ethics could be driven into the minds of people, and that is why I also mentioned ethics at the personal level, ethics at the social level, and ethics at the professional level. I hope I have answered your question. What is your second question, please?
So you can't define a framework.
Of course, yes. That is the parameters. Like for instance, I mentioned to you, dependability, accuracy, responsiveness, consistency, transparency. These could be the framework for somebody's ethics.
Most of the teachers are, some of the teachers are unethical. So what I would like to tell is, I feel that 80% are ethical, 20% are unethical. And as an administrator, what do you do for those 20% who usually will be either, people of influence or experienced? So what measures you take to curb those unethical measures?
In very easily 60%, very good. 30%, okay. 10%, you can never change them. So I don't bother about the 10% at all. You check any institution, even in your own college. There are very good professors, committed, and to the students available all the 24 hours, things like that. And there are teachers who don't bother about anything. So as I told you, I don't bother about the 10% at all, because it's a waste of time. It's a burden you have to carry. But 30% I concentrate. I really educate them that following the model of this 60%, they should fall in line and make the institution grow and make their service available to the students. Did I answer?
Organization, or maybe because it's a cantonate institution, maybe because there will be political influence, there could be problems. In my case, the 10%, I throw them out unceremoniously. I'm able to do it because my hands are not tied, but his hands are tied.
So what's the difference between code of ethics and code of conduct?
When you apply ethics in real life, it's code of conduct. You don't confuse ethics and morals, they're slightly different. Right? If you take an organization has vision, business purpose or mission, and then core values. And then you take those core values, you refer to them in your daily life, right? And you add on to the core values by working under a set of rules or set of personal standards for conduct. For example, your code of conduct is I will come on time. Now it may not be explicitly described in the core values that everybody should come on time. But if you demonstrate professionalism by coming on time, that's a code of conduct that you've set for yourself. Right? So ethics is the underlying organizational ethics, is an underlying framework that you refer to for every decision. Code of conduct is personal, and then you overlay your own ethics on top of it, and then you operate and work in a particular way. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so the question is to Madam Kinshuk Tiwari. We know that while advertising for insurance policies, when you convince somebody, it can happen that you can sort of intimidate a person that if you don't have an insurance policy, maybe you're into deep trouble and that will bring problems to you throughout your life. That we've heard in the conference that is an unethical business practice to intimidate somebody that if you don't have this, you'll have problems. So how, in other terms, will you convince a person to buy an insurance policy for himself?
See, it all depends on what the customer wants. For example, if it's a pension policy, pension that it's given after you retire and all. You cannot sell a person a pension policy if the person is 60-year-old. Because you will start receiving the money of the policy after 15 years when the person, you don't know whether the person will exist or not. So it depends on the need of the customer, the profile of the customer. You have to do an analysis of what the customer wants. What is the best suitable thing? Life insurance policy, of course, will fetch you a long-term result. It's not a short-term benefit which you get like a mutual fund and all. So you have to evaluate everything. How what is the risk capacity of the customer? What is in which age group the customer falls, and based on that, you offer the perfect product to the customer with which he is happy. So this will only this will eradicate the practice of mis-selling. If the customer is satisfied, the customer will never come back to you and complain about the feature of the policy.
So in this case, are there tailor-made policies also to help a person?
Yeah, there are different categories of policy which can help a person with their financial needs. For example, I gave an example of pension policy. This will help you after your retirement. So there are policies in which can help in the education of your kids, in their marriages, and so on.
Can you just add on to that?
Okay, as a corollary, for example, my question to this panel would be then, is good ethics itself to be rewarded in the workplace? I mean, do you have ethical employee of the month? I don't know if anyone does that. But will that be? You're expected to be ethical. So that's
get rewarded for it.
No, you don't get rewarded. But should we be rewarding that? The other thing is, what do you do about the role of whistleblowers, right? These are the, does everyone know the meaning of the word whistleblower, the term whistleblower?
Not the traffic constable.
Not the traffic constable, but the guy or the lady who decides that enough is enough and I'm going to take a stand, okay, against what I see as institutional malpractice in her own or his own institution. So now, usually what happens to these people is that they get thrown out, bad media, lousy press, and they become, nobody wants to touch them, right? Because they said something that everybody else knew, but only they did it. So is this, what is the role of a whistleblower in a company in terms of the ethics of it, in terms of what it means for students who come out learning about ethics, for example, and then they come into the workplace and you're faced with a dilemma, and then you take the choice, and then what happens?
Let me answer this very quickly. Corporations today have a whistleblower policy. Good corporations have a whistleblower policy. And the whistleblower policy will say there is an identified person to receive whistleblower complaints, and the accountability of that person for those complaints is to the chairman of the audit committee, typically. And this is a standard practice in good corporations, part of good governance. So, 2 or 3 things happen. One, a whistleblower's identity protection is assured in these instances. My own, experience, when I was the managing director of the company, there was an instance, there was few instances, but I'll cite one. There's an instance where there was a whistleblower complaint on unethical practices, which is essentially fudging of travel bills. That was the unethical private practice in this instance, which came to us about a very senior employee whose he was one of the, let's say a vice president level person. And that person's performance record over the previous 3 years was 110% plus, him and his team. So extremely valuable employee for the company, extremely valuable. So this is a fudging of a travel bill that came up through a whistleblower, and we took a decision in 24 hours, call me, but you have to give a chance for the other person to give an explanation. It's unfair to do it otherwise, right? collected the evidence, put it in front of the person, say, please explain. The person didn't have an explanation. We asked them to sign a resignation letter then and there. The person was relieved that instance. It was an extremely valuable employee in that. So that whistleblower's identity was protected. I know that whistleblower's identity, the identity was protected, and no consequences of any kind. But she's right. I mean, Hema's right. This is a problem. Whistleblowing can happen in different ways. There's a structured way of whistleblowing that actually happens. And normally, what happens is you go to your boss and say, you know what, I've seen this guy taking money away from their cash box. Please do something. That's a very normal thing, right? You don't write a letter, go to audit committee. You don't do all that. You go and talk to a boss. Such instances, if an organization has not implemented, a very strong framework, the person, may be in trouble, may get isolated, performance appraisals may get affected. That's a bad organization. In such instances, I would recommend that person actually quits and goes and joins a good organization. Don't waste time. It's your choice at the end of the day. Everything is about choice. An individual's ability to exercise choice determines, our own freedom, our own thinking, our own success. Exercise the choice. You have complained, people have treated you badly, just say go to hell, take a complaint and go and join some, join a good organization.
Especially in public life, there are two kinds of whistleblowers. One, a genuine whistleblower who's interested in improving something, so he risks whatever he is and tries to bring this to the notice of the authorities. But there is another whistleblower who's a professional whistleblower. This person's choice is to be a pain in the neck for everybody, and in the bargain, blackmail people and collect money. Okay, so that is something which should be kept away. Yeah.
Any other questions? One more question.